All right, let's jump right into this explainer. I was absolutely fascinated digging into today's topic, mostly because it's something every single one of us experiences literally every single day. We're going to demystify the science behind that constant, nonstop stream of our inner voice, and more importantly, we'll learn how to actually harness it. So tell me if this sounds familiar. Have you ever been in a truly stressful situation, tried to just, think positive, and somehow ended up feeling even worse? Well, if you're not in your head right now, I want to validate that for you. It is completely normal. As we'll see today, forced optimism can completely backfire on us. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our quick roadmap for the explainer, so you know what actionable tools are coming your way. First up, the voice inside you. Then we'll look at the toll of toxic stress and the toxic positivity trap. After that, we're getting into the science of the inner coach, how to rewire your inner dialogue, and finally, building your mental toolkit. Part 1, the voice inside you. Basically, this is that endless stream of automatic, unspoken thoughts running through your head, from the moment you wake up to the moment you hit the pillow. It absolutely dictates our emotions, our confidence, and our actions. Moving on to part 2, the toll of toxic stress. Because when that inner voice turns negative, especially in high-pressure environments, it can trigger some incredibly severe cognitive and emotional consequences. We're talking about signs like severe confusion, poor concentration, massive anxiety, emotional outbursts, and just intense fatigue. These symptoms are heavily documented by health departments, specifically among high-stakes professions. Think first responders. It perfectly illustrates that psychological stress doesn't just hang out in your head, it manifests physically and behaviorally. Which brings us to part 3, the toxic positivity trap. Now, you might be thinking the fix is just to smile more, right? Well, the solution to negative stress isn't just mindlessly plastering a happy look on your face. That is what we call toxic positivity, this excessive, ineffective overgeneralization of a happy state that completely denies authentic human emotional experiences. And this blew my mind in the research. A 1997 psychological study by Gross and Levinson proved that repressing real emotions, like anger or frustration, actually increases your physiological arousal and stress. Literally, acting like everything is fine when it isn't makes your body panic even more. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the stark contrast. Toxic positivity says, don't worry, be happy, which just totally deletes the negative reality. But non-toxic acceptance says, hey, I see that you're really stressed. Anything I can do? Acknowledging the suffering is actually far healthier and scientifically more effective at lowering your stress than pretending the bad stuff just doesn't exist. Let's shift gears to part 4, science of the inner coach. So, if we shouldn't fake positivity, what exactly should we do? Well, let's look at how elite performers handle intense pressure. The research highlights a fascinating tool called distanced self-talk. It's exactly what it sounds like. You refer to yourself using your own name and non-first-person pronouns to promote self-control. According to a 2020 study by Gainsbourg and Cross, this subtle shift in language creates psychological distance. It literally changes how you cognitively represent yourself in a stressful situation. It's kind of like you're advising a good friend rather than panicking yourself. A brilliant real-world example of this comes from actress Jennifer Lawrence. During a highly uncomfortable interview, she was getting visibly anxious. Spontaneously, she muttered out loud, "Okay, get a hold of yourself, Jennifer. This isn't therapy." Right? She used her own name to step back and emotionally regulate. So, what does the number 0.48 mean in all this? Based on a massive meta-analysis of 32 different sports psychology studies, 0.48 represents the mathematically proven moderate effect size boost in performance that you get from using strategic, positive self-talk. That's huge. It's not just some feel-good theory. It is a measurable competitive advantage. Elite athletes rely on this heavily. Tennis legend Serena Williams says she consciously makes the choice to compete well, using highly instructional self-talk to build an unbreakable inner coach. Similarly, Michael Phelps famously rehearsed every possible disaster in his mind, so his inner coach was ready for literally anything. They don't just hope for a good mindset, you guys, they engineer it. Part 5, rewiring your inner dialogue. And here's the best part. You don't need to be an Olympic athlete to use these exact same cognitive strategies. First, you got to catch the bad habits. The Mayo Clinic points out that before you can fix your inner voice, you have to identify your automatic negative traps. Are you filtering out the positive things you did today? Are you automatically personalizing the blame when things go wrong? Or maybe catastrophizing a tiny mistake into a total disaster? Recognizing these traps is the absolutely crucial first step before you can replace them. And this brilliantly illustrates the fix: realistic reframing. Notice, this is not toxic positivity. We aren't saying, it's too complicated, but I'm a genius, so it's fine. Instead, we take, I've never done it before, and reframe it objectively as, it's an opportunity to learn something new. You acknowledge the challenge, but you just tackle it from a different angle. Another incredible tool is if-then planning, which comes out of cognitive behavioral therapy. You pre-plan your reaction to a trigger. So, for example, if I feel my chest tighten with panic before the presentation, then I will use my name and tell myself I am prepared. By forming these implementation intentions, it works below your conscious awareness to keep you on track during those really difficult moments. Finally, part 6, building your mental toolkit. We've talked a lot about the psychology. Now let's wrap this up with a rapid-fire toolkit of physical and psychological techniques for immediate relief when you are just right in the thick of it. Look, sometimes cognitive reframing just isn't enough in the heat of the moment. We have to physically ground ourselves. Taking deep, intentional breaths directly sends a physical message to your brain to lower your heart rate and blood pressure. Basically, you have to calm the body to calm the mind. A timeless physical grounding exercise utilized by first responders to instantly reduce high-stakes tension is the 4-7-8 breathing technique. It's super simple. You inhale through the nose for 4 seconds, you hold that breath for 7 seconds, and then exhale slowly through the mouth for 8 seconds. It forces your nervous system to manually hit the brakes. But remember, your inner coach isn't built in a day. It requires daily maintenance. Keep a mental training log, practice short bursts of mindfulness, develop specific cue words like focus or calm to trigger yourself back to the present, and make sure to celebrate your teammates' strengths. It's exactly like training a physical muscle. So I'll leave you with this thought. Tomorrow morning, when you inevitably face your first major challenge of the day, will your inner voice be a critic breaking you down, or will you use these tools to ensure it is a coach guiding you through? The choice is totally yours. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep training that inner coach.